Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to have Leslie Glickman here with us today. Welcome, Leslie.
Hi, Ari. How are you?
Good. So you guys remember, my name's Ari, and I'm your host for this Yoga and Business and Lifestyle Summit, where we're learning to turn our energy into currency. And please, please, please remember, we have all these juicy goodies from so many of the speakers that you don't want to miss, right? Getting the package so you can have them and have Leslie in your life forever, right? It's your digital library.
How nice.
I'm so happy that Leslie, you joined us today, because I know you have your own studio up here in Florida, in South Florida, but you've also really grown a big community, and that's what we're here to talk about today. The 5 C's of community. So Leslie, tell us a little bit how, maybe how you got started in yoga and how you've really, gone from a practitioner like we all did to having such a successful and amazing business around community and your studio.
Well, I mean, I started being in health and fitness actually over 25 years ago, and yoga happened by accident for me. I was a group exercise instructor, personal trainer. I owned a gym literally for 13 years, and yoga was one of the things we offered. And so I partook, I just enjoyed it as one of the things that we did. And it was kind of a crazy thing. When the teacher that was teaching the class that I really liked left, he decided to go out to California and study. I felt compelled to step in his place. And I stepped in with very little experience. I had group exercise experience. I had, anatomy experience, and I knew how to present a class, but I didn't really know yoga. I just knew I loved it. So it kind of put me in a place where I had to kind of learn on the job. And 25 years ago, there wasn't a lot of stuff going on in our community in yoga.
No.
I worked really hard. I traveled a lot. I read everything I possibly could. I did a lot of self-study. And I realized how much we really needed a community, how we really needed to bring yoga into South Florida and help integrate all of the beautiful aspects of yoga into our community here in South Florida. So I've been sort of driven because of my need and my want for a community to build one, instead of just expect it to happen. I decided to take the reins and make it happen.
And that's actually really powerful, because I always love to talk about taking action, right? We can have all these wants. We can be like, oh, one day I wish we had such a beautiful community. But if nobody actually takes action in doing it,
exactly,
stays like a wish, right? So what compelled you to really step forth and be like, you know what, I'm going to start this. I'm going to, fearless, warriorous. Is that even a word?
Warrior. I'll take warrior. Yeah. I think it was actually just knowing that this can be, it's kind of a funny thing. Like meditation and yoga is something that is an individual practice. But I really don't think it's the easy road in life. They say ignorance is bliss. And so I believe that that's for others, not for those on a spiritual path. So it's not an easy path. And I think we need support. And to really be able to have the courage to stay in the discipline and to stay in the personal individual work, it makes a huge difference to be surrounded by other people that are also doing the work.
Yeah. I agree. And that's actually one of the reasons why I think I fell in love with acro yoga, because it was all about union and friendship, right? Yeah. And that's how we met.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go.
Yeah, I think that whole idea around connection is really at the root of this whole idea of building community, because I don't think any of us really wants to be in this alone,
No, for sure. I think that, you're right about having the camaraderie, right? As spiritual beings, as seekers to enlighten the world a little bit more, and as teachers. So what are these amazing 5 C's? I'm sure connection is one of them, but.
Yes, it is. It is. It's number 3.
Okay.
So these are some of the tools that I actually used. I felt like in the fitness business, I was quite successful. We were quite successful, my team and I. And so much of it was based on these things. I didn't call it the 5 C's then, but you know, when you look back, hindsight's 2020. So I look back at all the things that made me really successful or made us successful in the gym business. And I wanted to apply those things into my own studio. And so this is what I've come up with, is these 5 C's of community. And the first one is what I call the cheers effect. You know, it's that feeling of like when you walk in, like everybody knows your name. You know? Right? We all know what that means, you know? And so that's a really, really important thing, because when we look back at the idea of not feeling like you're in it alone, like when your customers walk in the door, you want them to feel like they matter.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really important that we, even as owners, start to schedule our time in the studio to allow for that cheers effect. Yeah. So I know that there are some studios that they schedule their classes really tight and there's changeover. When I schedule my classes, I actually leave room between the beginnings and the ends of the classes for conversation and for connection time, so that the teachers have time to get to know their students and the students get to know each other. And there's this feeling of like friendship going on. Yeah. You know, we don't all come in the room and just sit in silence and wait for the teacher to start, and then it ends and everyone rolls their mats up and leaves. So it's sort of part of our culture is to have that cheers effect. And to really encourage my front desk people to use first names. I mean, they have the list right in front of them. So that's sort of part of their training. And to have it be this really familiar and really friendly feeling everywhere, from the first minute they walk in the door until the moment they leave. Like they don't even want to leave the studio. They're like, I have to kick them out sometimes, because all the students stay so long that they just keep wanting to be in conversation and connection. So I would say that that is, you know, a really, really important aspect of that, you know, creating a space where people feel a part of. And, you know, we have tools that can even take it a step further. Things like our check-in systems at the studios. We can send happy birthday messages. Yeah. When someone has their very first visit, there can be a message that goes out that says, thank you so much for choosing to take class with us today, you know, on their first welcome, that very first thing. So there are these little tools that are accessible to us. We're already paying for the service. We should be using them. You know, an anniversary of the first class they ever took. Like these simple things, you can't bombard them with a message every day, but we can pick really important times in the year to reach out. And it's automatic. It's not even like you have to do it, but it's a tool that allows them to feel like they matter. You know? Yeah. And so there we go. There's our first C. Yeah.
And it's so true, because the more of an impact you make on a single person, it can quantify your business.
Yes.
Right? Because referrals, I had such great experience. Oh, they're so nice. And then that's why you start getting that, you know, word of mouth.
Exactly. So, and there's nothing more important than that. I think that word of mouth. I mean, we can spend tons of money on marketing, but what someone says about the experience has so much more weight.
Yeah. You know? And even adversely, right? You would think like if somebody's like, oh, they were so rude, they go on Yelp and you're like,
Exactly.
Oh, good.
Would you like me to keep going on the C's?
Please. I love this. I'm learning so much from everybody, and I'm like, I love this. So continue.
That's great. Thank you. So the second one is creating a give back. So the creating a give back is our C. You know, I really feel strongly that we very often overlook or take for granted that our students come day in and day out, and they're spending money at our studios. And we don't often think that we need to say thank you. I mean, we say it. We always say it at the end of class. We always show gratitude. But what if we really like put our money where our mouth is, and we actually created a give back and we did something really special for them? So we do things that are free and allow them every once in a while to come as our guest. And creating a give back is something that really can spark your creativity. It can make them feel, again, really special. Because the truth is, we're nothing without our students. If we don't have someone to teach to, if we don't have an audience, like if we don't have a base of people that want to learn, like they need to know how special and how important they are and how grateful we are every time they show up.
Yeah.
And even if it's once, because my studio's in a hotel, so I sometimes see people one time and then they, we may never see them again.
Okay.
So even that one visit matters.
Yeah.
And especially to those that are coming and going weekly and coming all the time, we really have to take it upon ourselves as a business owner to show our gratitude and to do something,
Yeah.
And so I just want to look through my notes and I want to see if I have some ideas that I can share with you. One of my give backs is, it's actually been one of my greatest successes, is I made an arrangement with the city. And so this is for all yoga teachers all over. You really have to go through proper channels. You can't just show up in a public space and start teaching, because there's permitting and there's other things that have to happen in order for you to be legit. And if you can take yourself seriously as a business person, I think you should be legit,
Yeah.
It took me almost 6 months to make an arrangement with the city that I'm in, Boca Raton. And there's this beautiful little park in downtown. And I used to walk by it all the time and think, like, downtown needs a little life, like we need to stir a little bit of a different vibe. And this park is like, it's so beautiful. Nobody's ever in it. No one really uses our green spaces and our, our beautiful spaces.
No, they're so underused.
Right, exactly. So I figured it was a win-win, and I created this Saturday morning primetime yoga spot, right? Every studio is jamming on a Saturday morning.
Yes.
I created this community class on Saturday mornings in downtown. We started with maybe 30 or 40 people coming out, and now there's 250 people coming out every Saturday. It's completely free, and it is my greatest joy. It's like my way of feeling like karma has balanced itself in the world. So, some people might think like, oh my gosh, you go out every Saturday and you don't get paid. It's rain and shine, but I do, because every day of the week, 6 other days, there's lots coming to me, and it feels really good for me to give back. And it's created this amazing community of people that now go to the green market together, or go to breakfast together, or just meet and spend the morning together. And it's every age, every shape and size. It is just it's a really beautiful expression of community, and it's completely free.
Yeah.
So,
and I love how you said that it's, the every shape and size, because a lot of the times we get stuck with thinking that yoga is only for certain people, and there's like a lot of messaging that goes around with this. And one of my biggest joys also is just be like, this is what makes you feel good. It's not about like touching your toes. So it like brings the spirit of yoga back to the yoga.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what's happening every Saturday, because it's such a broad range of people. People are not intimidated to come. People even come with their dogs, and they come with their kids, and there's kids climbing all over their parents. It's a park, you know what I mean? And it makes yoga accessible, which is part of my mission in having community, is that it makes it accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what income level you are. It doesn't matter what level of practice you're at. If you've never done yoga before, like I literally will see people who walk their dogs for 2 or 3 weeks. They walk by, and then the next time I see them, they're coming with a mat.
Aww.
So it's inviting people into the yoga that may have never done it before. And then that might be a step that they become someone who wants to come on a trip with you, or do a training with you, or attend a workshop that's of interest. And so it's this way to invite community.
Yeah.
No strings attached, but like we have now access to people that may or may not have never done yoga.
Yeah.
And
how have you seen a spike in your studio attendance since you started this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have, think about 250 people coming and doing yoga every weekend. Now, the people who come to my studio also come to the park.
Exactly.
And all of these new people that come to the park will also come to my studio. And the beautiful thing is, other yoga studios, like, they bring their students. Like, I have other studios in the area during teacher training. Like, that's an outing for them because it's free. You know, so it's like the studio with no walls. It actually is this way to build bridges, you know, instead of burn them. You know what I mean? Like, it's like this open space. It's a public space. It's free. So like a teacher can come in with his whole group that's in training, and they can do an outdoor, really nice, beautiful experience. Then they can sit together in the park and do their lessons. It's like created this yoga space in a public area that's really able to be used for everybody.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful.
It's like magic.
It is.
It's turned into a whole thing. We have 2 sound systems and speakers and the little Madonna mic going on because, you know, it's like the park is full. So it's this whole production now. But it started out as this simple, beautiful thing that just, like anybody could do.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it. I'm so glad that it's you know, it's bringing abundance to everybody at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
You know,
and it feels really, really good.
Yeah. Oh, yay. Continue.
Okay, so my third one is connection, and that is what you brought up earlier. And you know, did you ever hear of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
You know, like, so it's a basic human need that we feel like we have to be connected to other people.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the stats are, but I know that more people probably die from loneliness and disconnection than they do even from disease. Because the loneliness and disconnection actually is what creates the stress and creates that dis-ease. And so it is so important. And there are so many people, even within the yoga community, that are single, that are widowed, that are, when they come together and practice, like, that's their social time. Yeah. And maybe, I know some of my students that have had spouses that are ill, and like when I touch their shoulders in Shavasana, or I put my hand on their back in a Warrior Two, like, that might be the only human touch that they get that day, right? Yeah. And so I've really noticed over the years how important it is for us to connect. And I've created events that are called kulas. The word kula just means community, right? Right. So in almost every culture, I don't know, you think about it, but I think almost every culture, when we think about how do we get together and how do we connect, there's always food involved.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's usually food and drink.
Right. So what I've decided to do was create these events, these evenings that are about connection. And of course, there's always yoga, sometimes with live music, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just a cool setting or not. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's at the studio. And we started doing them as potluck, you know? And so, again, because my studio is in a hotel, I have a unique opportunity to have access to lots of different size rooms and different spaces. And there's a really healthy farm-to-table restaurant that I can actually do partnership and catering with.
Oh my gosh.
We started simple. We started with potluck and really bringing people together to do a really fun practice that is focused. Like, the whole theme of the practice is about connection. It's about recognizing the friendships, recognizing the business relationships that are starting within your students, and the people that you're hanging out with when you're not on your mat. Like, they tend to be yoga people, and sort of just recognizing how much we all have connected and making those connections deeper in the practice, and then staying after and having a meal together, breaking bread, you know? Yeah. And I feel like every culture, no matter where you come from, you can relate to that. Yeah. It's something about when you sit down and eat with people that it's different than just having your mat next to them in a room.
Fully.
So I know it sounds crazy, but you can just do it with healthy food, you know?
Gluten-free bread.
Exactly. And that's what happens. When you actually do a potluck, you get the most incredible selections of the most healthy food. Everybody wants to bring their best recipe. Of
course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, as the facilitator of those events, you have to just be prepared. You need to bring the paper goods, you need to have tables, you need to have the base, beverages and things for people. But the whole idea is that, they're all sweaty, their hair is a mess, they have no makeup on, and they stay and they hang out with each other and they take pictures and they like do their thing. And it's just another level of deepening the connection of the community. I mean, to me, it's just, there we go. There's number 3, you know, so gatherings and making opportunities for them to connect on a deeper level. So it's very easy to create a good experience where you come in, you roll your mat out, you do good yoga, you roll your mat up and you leave.
Yes.
Everyone all over the country is doing that. All over the world.
All over the world.
Right. So how are you going to set yourself apart?
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think those are the sometimes the unlikeliest friendships that you build.
Yes.
Like maybe you never would have met this person who's 20 years younger than you and, you know, from a different country. And then it's like spark. And
exactly.
the sweetest things happen, you know, and like you said, like, you know, I see it in my acro yoga community so much that everybody just becomes really good friends and and you're just like, yes, you know, like if one practice can do this, whether it's a gathering or actual like physical practice, then this is, you know, in my trainings, you know, we talk about increasing prana. And one of the ways to increase prana with a like-minded community. So I love that, the connection part.
Exactly.
So what's number 4?
Number 4 is cooperation. So if we're building community, I think that we have to think bigger than just our yogis. You know what I mean? It's not just creating this sort of enclosed cocoon within your studio or within your range of students. It's also about cooperating with other organizations that are doing work in the community. So like I consider myself quite community minded. And so over the years, I've been in Boca for a really long time, probably close to 25 years. And I have some really good friends that I admire and are doing amazing work, like supporting kids or, you know, different diseases, schools. There's all kinds of choices that we can make. And I find myself partnering with not too many. You know, my early years, I said yes to everyone, and I was like willing to support everyone. And I will donate to just about anyone to support their work. But you have to narrow it down to like less than 5. Like I'd say even 2 or 3 organizations that you feel really connected to the work that they're doing. And then throughout the year at different times, or even just once annually with that same organization, that you do something that engages your community in supporting that community. Because those people who are not doing yoga but are really tied to that organization see your support. And then all of a sudden when they're thinking like, I think I should do yoga, who do you think they're going to think of to try first? Who are they going to trust? And who else do they want to deal with except someone who's close to their heart doing the same kind of work in the community? And so you want to deepen your relationship with these other organizations. So if you spread yourself too thin, your presence isn't really known over time. And so year after year, the same groups that are doing the amazing work that I love and support, I will do like an annual event, or I'll host something to raise money for them, or I'll invite them to participate at something else I'm doing so they can put awareness out there. You know, very often at the holidays, my studio knows now that we do Christmas lists. We fulfill the wishes for children that are in foster care. And so at that time of year, everybody's like, did we get the lists yet? And like, we're engaged in doing the work. And just the same, like I see my students are volunteering after school to do homework with the kids. And so there's this really beautiful meshing going on between the two. And it's really just because as the leader, we have made the connection and we foster the relationship, and then it's magic what happens.
Oh, that's so sweet. And you know, I think that at the end of the day, the more we give back, it creates that sense of fulfillment in our lives. You know, it could easily be said, oh, the more we give back, the more we receive. But as much as we're going to receive it, maybe by people coming to yoga, it just feels that like, okay, fulfillment in my life, check. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think I'm sorry, continue.
And I think everybody wants to give back. And I think that, you know, again, there's so many choices. I really believe that, you know, if you really want to get involved in charity work, we've been doing, my next C, I'll explain, we've been doing a discussion group for a while. And lately it's been like, how can we get involved? Like, what can we do? And so my students are actively looking for ways to contribute. They feel fulfilled in their lives. And when our cups runneth over, there's this amount of natural desire to give back now. And so that, to me, that's a sign that we're doing the right thing. That if our people feel so fulfilled that they now have the time and the energy and the desire to want to give to somebody else, then the yoga's working.
The yoga is working.
And yeah. And so there's this desire to connect, you know, like there's no longer an us and them. It's like a we. Like that's the yoga at play. And so I'm watching it, like, you know, just ripple out into the world because people want to do more. And so they're turning to the organizations that are already familiar. They've been involved, they've given, you know, a donation, or they went to that yoga class to support. And, you know, everybody's got something close to their heart.
Yeah.
You know, some people feel connected to heart disease or cancer, or, you know, but you know, as a yoga teacher or as a business person, you get to decide where you want to align and then really make that relationship rich.
Yes.
You know?
And, you know, I think for me, when I decided to create the summit and to open my Bizzy Yogi, my program, is exactly for this reason, so that we as yoga teachers become smarter in the way we do our business. So that way we have the extra time, the extra money, right, to give back. Because if we're like juggling 2-3 jobs, you know, having so many classes, and then you get home and the last thing you want to do is, or you just can't afford to, right?
Exactly.
$20 here to one charity, $30, then it starts adding up. And so that is the
truth is, if you're aligning with those charities and developing those relationships, we said it earlier, and this isn't the reason, but it's the truth, is that the more you give, the more you get back and receive. And it's because that is the natural order of things. It's not based on greed. It's actually based on karma, you know? And so I feel like if you take the time and you go, if the organization invites you to come out and you teach for free, I know that a lot of times we say to ourselves, like, I can't afford to teach for nothing. Like, every single class counts. But the audience that's in front of you may be people that you have never met. And then those people will come to your class because they know that you came out for free. And there's this natural desire for them to want to support you back. And so all of a sudden, instead of having 10 people in your class, maybe you start to have 12, and those become 15. And you're building your own community.
Yes.
You know, like that's exactly what's happening. And all of these levels, like, so it sounds like I'm asking you to do a lot for free. It sounds like I'm asking you to put it out there and give a lot, but there's nothing better.
No.
There's really nothing better than to just give a little bit for the right reasons and watch how it unfolds, you know?
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it brings value back to your offerings, right? Be able to have that in your quote unquote curriculum, be like, look, you know, because I live the yogic life, the truth, it's, you know, I'm doing both. I'm giving myself here, and I'm also giving myself in this manner. And it just like kind of completes the cycle. So it's very important. I'm glad it's one of your C's.
Yes. And so the last one, am I up to the last one? Yes, we did cooperation. So the last one is common interests. So you don't realize that the yogis really like to do a lot of other things besides yoga, right? And I found that we were really fulfilling, you know, when I look at the 8-limb path, we were doing a lot of asana in my community. And I felt compelled, as I mature and I grow in my own practice, that I am reaching out and learning that the other aspects of yoga are so valuable. So I've also added meditation as a regular offering at the studio, and really encouraging people to embrace that. the sitting, and also the self-study. You know, we need sadhyaya. We need to actually, if not everybody wants to take teacher training, so not everybody is going to get schooled in history and philosophy of yoga. But God knows if we are spending 3 to 5, 6, maybe 7 days a week on a mat, don't we want to really understand what we're doing? Do we really not know where it's coming from? And I don't think everybody should take teacher training. I don't think that it's for everyone, but I feel like there should be some other way to educate and create experience for people where they can learn a little bit more than they can in the course of a flow.
Yeah.
So I have these couple of things that I know are common interests among the yogis, and we created what I call lunch and learn. Again, I'm not sure why it's always food. Probably I'm Jewish, and I think
food's so good.
always eats, right? So we do lunch and learn once a week, and the subject matter changes, but we can sometimes stay months. We did an entire, almost 2 years. Was it 2 years? Like a year and a half studying all 4 books of the sutras. I mean, and we did another series where we read through the entire Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. We did another series where we went through the chakras, and we did like 7 weeks going, you know, up the chakras, and then another 7 weeks coming down. So there's 14 weeks of content for these discussions where the students of the community that are hungry for a little bit more, they can come and sit in this circle and be part of a conversation where we're opening up, you know, the insights and the information and the really beautiful gifts that lay beneath the asana practice that is so prevalent here.
Yeah.
You know? So common interests like studying and learning and finding out more. I think there's a lot of people that are really hungry for more than just the movement.
Yeah.
So that lunch and learn is a way to get people together with common interests. I mean, sometimes we just read yoga poetry, and like we literally just will read a beautiful reading, and it stirs the most deep and incredible conversations.
Oh, I love that.
There's no end to the content that can be used. But it doesn't have to be, if you don't feel like a new teacher might not feel qualified to hold those conversations, right? So I'd like to speak to the idea that it could be anything. Like, what if you just did a cooking class? Right? What if you had a book club where you just decided to create this book club, and you maybe even meet once a month?
Yeah.
And everyone in the book club, you can make a Facebook group, and everybody can be, you know, engaged in connecting with each other all throughout the month. And then once a month you sit together, any, you know, one night in the week or one day, and you get an opportunity to sit and discuss and have conversations. So it's like anything but asana.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so many things that it could be. And I feel like that gives everyone room to be really creative and come up with, you know, maybe something that is exciting to them that they might want to do with others. You know, it could be art. Like I said, it could be cooking. It could be reading. It could be this, you know, the opportunities are endless, really.
Yes.
But I do believe that if we create common interests and we do things other than asana occasionally, we're actually creating another level of community and connection for people.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, like you said, like the 8-limb path, like this would be maybe the 9th limb or a different level.
Even just the study we did for a while. I mean, I've been doing these for over 4 years. So we've had a lot of content, and we did the 8-limb path. I mean, just think about it, that we went through all the yamas and the niyamas and then the rest of the 8-limb path. And so there we go. We had, what is that? That's that's 16 weeks of content.
Yeah. I mean, it is endless. Like,
and the students don't even know that that exists, and that it's it's like, I mean, their minds are blown when they realize what it really is to be a yogi. And then because they have this insight, their practice changes and grows in ways that they never could have understood. You know?
And are these events also free?
Actually, the cool thing about my common interest groups is that I do those on a donation only basis. And the donations are used either to support one of the local charities that I'm connected to, or I use the donations that come in from our learning in these groups to help support tuition if people are want to do teacher training and can't afford it. And so the people make donations that can be used for other people's support for tuition for teacher training. So learning supports someone else's learning, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, and again, those are not for me they're not money makers. These are community builders. Like you have to be very clear. I do a lot of things that are money makers, you know? But there are these 5 things that I feel really strongly are my energy and my intention, and my whole reason for doing any of these 5 things is actually linking and building that community. You know?
And what has the value been for you and your company? You know, I know we talked about having more students, but has the reputation of Leslie and Yoga Journey also increased? I mean, there's probably some other benefits that you've seen, you know, whether it media coverage because maybe you had a 500-person yoga class and so on and so forth, right? Because it doesn't just come back to money. It's also, there's so many other facets of value that we talk about.
Well, I think that one of the biggest things is that when we as yoga teachers go out and teach, it's almost like every time we finish the class, we close, namaste, you know, and then we release our students out into the world. To me, I always think of that as the moment where we like throw the pebbles out into the pond, and then each pebble creates their own ripple, right? And so these community things have actually broadened my audience outside of just the yoga room. Like the park has given me access now to these 250 people. So it's like throwing 250 pebbles every Saturday, right? And so that ripples out in ways that I probably can't even measure, you know? And that always comes back to this idea that like, I am the community yoga person because I'm out there doing it. Like I'm not just saying I'm about community. I'm actually out there in the community and doing it. So I feel like I've been, I've been asked to participate in so many different things that I probably wouldn't have been. It's because I am visible. I am out there and I'm doing it. And so when there is a big community event, I get a lot, I can't do them all, but I get requests all the time to be out there and give back and represent the community. And that to me is like, that's proof that like, I'm doing a good job and I'm out there. And so I feel like I have really built a reputation, at least around here in South Florida, for networking and bringing the community together. I see tremendous value in broadening the audience outside of your yoga room. And it comes back, I don't know exactly how to measure it, but it's immeasurable really how valuable it's been.
Yeah. And you know, when you say that, it kind of brings the idea also that it fortifies you as, you know, a credible leader.
Yes.
Right. And you know, I talk about leadership a lot in my course because if people don't have that essence that, you know, you're holding space, you know how to manage, not manage, but, you know, guide people in a really like cohesive manner, then, you know, there's that disconnect. So by having that leadership aspect of you, I mean, you know, when I asked a couple of my friends, I'm like, guys, you know, for the summit, and it was like Leslie, and I was like, oh my God, of course, because we built a reputation, and that carries so much weight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's really amazing to see the expansion of how holding that kind of quality and valuable work that we do as leaders is going to affect, you know, when you do the teacher trainings, just the quality of the teachings and everything. So, you know, you've done an amazing job at that. So yeah, no, for sure.
I think something else that grew out of this, it was sort of like the natural progression of things. You know, I have this park, the Give Back community class every Saturday. That has morphed itself into this annual event that I do every year. And it's called Something Big, because I felt like I wanted to do something big, you know, so that was just how I ended up naming it. And I rent the Meisner Park Amphitheater. And this is my biggest expression of community is like, how can I, like on Saturdays, like how can I bring people in? And so on New Year's Day, which is sort of like a day where nobody's got much going on, right? So I rent the Meisner Park Amphitheater and I offer a community practice so that we all connect and come together and kick off that new year with the right intention, the best intention, connected to each other, feeling the strength of the community, the bonds of the local businesses that support me all year round. I invite them all and they come in, and it's our huge give back for the year. And we've had 1,500 people come out to do yoga on New Year's Day the past few years. We've done 3 years in a row. The first year I did it was in the hotel. I used the ballroom. It was the biggest space I had access to. And we outgrew it in 1 year. And so we went really big.
You went really big.
Yeah, and even like had like an international artist, DJ Drez, come out and do.
I love DJ Drez. Yeah.
But like, can you imagine the ripples of that? And
yes.
That to me, and the fact that we did it not knowing how many people would come, and just with the intention that like I would just love to have a space big enough to bring as many people as I could together, and again, offering it for free, underwriting it, and figuring out a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
All of that experience, I feel like that's proof to me that there really is a yoga community out there. Like it's like you build it and they will come.
Yes.
And so that shows me that the investments that I've made and all of the other smaller things, these are all my small expressions, but they're all building blocks that show the size of the community. So like, if, when we say, what's the value to your business? It's like that to me, like there's no way that I could not recognize that there is this big, beautiful community. And there are that many people that want to do yoga and they want to be together and they want to connect.
And, how can I ask you a question about that? I mean, it seems like a huge undertaking, a huge event, and I know a lot of us as teachers, the viewers especially, are like, well, I have a hard time filling a workshop of 10 people.
Right.
What do you think, apart from having these free offerings, have been successful in creating such a big movement? Do you spend a lot of money on advertising, or?
I don't really spend. It's all grassroots. And the thing is, it's the people that I have cultivated the deepest relationships with. We come together, and it really, truly takes a village. So we have to, as yoga teachers, we have to stop thinking we're on an island. We have to stop thinking that we can do it ourselves. The best manifestations of our visions are done with a group, with a team.
Yeah.
So I have close to 50 volunteers that come out. So it is not just me. And believe me, my husband, he is my partner in everything, like all of the back end logistical planning. Like you have to have somebody who is detail oriented. You have to have somebody else who's business oriented. You have to have someone who can read contracts. And so what happens is, like, as you're cultivating community, as you're look at the people who are taking your classes. If you were doing these kulas, or you were having these lunch and learn sessions, you were in deep conversation with them. You find out what they're about and what they do. I see all the time, like someone stressing about, like, oh my gosh, I need a graphic artist. I don't even know where to start. And the person next to them on the mat is a graphic artist that is looking for a customer. Like, so hello, like, start doing business together. So we have to start really opening up ourselves to really connecting and investing in the people around us in our community. And then all of us, sharing and supporting each other in our work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, because I know, that there's that deep seated, connection that you've been planting, and I think the way I asked my question, that's the answer that I wanted, was that grassroots essence.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, that's when you need to start dishing out the big bucks to spend on advertising, on newspapers, on whatever, Facebook ads, whatever it is. And then you're so stressed.
Exactly.
This is like flow and grace and ease.
Exactly, flow and grace. Because none of us have the money to go out and just spend a ton of money on advertising and things. We really have to cultivate relationship.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh, that was beautiful. It was very rich. The way that you know, kind of fed back into this idea of the community. With such a big event. Like it's like, yes, everything that you said really does culminate in having very successful offerings. So for you guys watching, you know, whether you're Leslie students or, you know, we have people from around the world that have already signed on to the summit, understand that what Leslie is saying is so valuable. And the more that you guys can really like own that sense of giving, then that's when the magic starts happening, right?
Yeah. And the truth is, you don't have to do all 5.
Okay.
You know, like the truth is, if you just picked one, one of these things, like creating a give back and developing relationships in the community, or like doing something with a common interest, like if you just picked one, like I think it could be overwhelming, like to try to do all of these things at once. Realize that I've cultivated these over 20 plus years of being in the same community. So I want to, for the new teacher who's looking for ways to become more successful, I want to just encourage them to pick one that really speaks to them and make it theirs. You know, like make it your own, like figure it out for yourself and do it with passion, do it with intention, and really, you know, take the time to let it build. You know, you're not going to have a community after one event.
Right.
You know, so that's the thing. You know, you have to be patient, but for all that you give and for all that you put in, I promise you the payback, the karma is tenfold.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah, I do. And I'm so like thrilled that we were able to have this conversation and really share with others, you know, your journey, right? Your yoga journey.
Exactly. It is a journey.
So for everybody that is here that has watched this amazing, you know, connection with Leslie and her thousands of people that she's affected, please continue to follow her, even though she's in Boca. So if you're ever down here, but sign into her newsletter, because she does always have amazing offerings, and you can do that on the link below. So we'll be super happy to keep giving you guys more from Leslie and from all the other speakers in the summit. And remember that the VIP upgrade package is massive, massive, massive. So invest in yourselves, invest in your growth. This is why I'm doing this. It's just because I love to share. And, you know, whether I put it together in a digital summit and Leslie's doing it in a park, right? It's just bringing community together. So
that's why when you invited me, my first feeling was like, this is the ultimate. This is community. You know, so many of the people presenting in this are from our community, and I see you wanting to help the teachers of our community grow. And so how could I not support your work and want to be part of it?
Thank you. That means so much to me. All right, guys. Well, Leslie, once again, thank you so much. And the website is yogajourneys.com.
Yogajourney.com.
Yoga Journey. And like I said below, you guys can enter your email, and that way you can stay connected with Leslie. So we'll see.
I'm doing stuff all over the world, so it's not just here.
Not just here, exactly.
Levels are out.
Yes. More. So thank you once again, Leslie, and namaste, everybody.
Okay.